In this video, we'll implement from scratch just as the platform is delivered. The purpose of this video is to enable you to implement on your own. It includes key moments if you wish to jump between topics. Feel free to pause, do the exercise, and progress together. The primary emphasis of this comprehensive video will be on database creation. First, we'll set up the entire account, configure business settings, create users, roles, and set permissions. Following that, we'll create organizations and register the assets, including equipment and facilities we need to maintain. Additionally, we'll input information about our inventory products. Lastly, we'll register suppliers and any warranties or contracts we have. Today's focus is on learning platform usage and capturing initial information. Let's begin with the first step, logging into the platform. Since it's a cloud-based platform, you'll access it through a login. Once logged in, we'll immediately see a comprehensive summary of all pending tasks. Today's tasks are empty because we haven't implemented anything yet. In the top menu, you'll find the primary modules: assets, organizations or sites, vendors, activities, work orders, requests, inventory, and analysis. Throughout the course, we will be covering all of these modules. You may have noticed that the platform defaults to English. To change the language, simply click on the avatar in the top right corner. From there, navigate to your profile settings where you can adjust the language and time zone settings. For instance, my preferred language is English, my country is the United States, and my time zone is America, New York. Additionally, within the avatar, you can manage and modify your subscription. Now, let's delve into the general settings section to kick off the initial phase of our course. Once inside the settings, we will edit the general company details. These details will be displayed by default in the files and documents generated within the platform, not meaning you can't edit them in the future. Initially, we'll input our company name, address, and tax identification number tax ID, which may vary depending on the country, such as TIN, EIN, RFC, RUT, or equivalent. Following the company details, we'll encounter specific regional settings. These settings enable us to tailor our account based on our geographical location. Initially, we'll specify the currency for platform operations, the primary time zone for the organization, the language preference, and the fiscal identification name. An important aspect to highlight is that both the time zone and language settings will be applied to all users created within our organization from this point forward. However, users can customize these settings later from their profiles, as we demonstrated previously. Once we've finalized these adjustments, we simply click Save, marking the completion of the initial setup phase. Now that we've completed the general configuration, let's move on to setting up users and profiles. This step involves registering individuals who will be granted access to the platform. If you subscribe to the Enterprise plan, you'll find that it includes several free profiles. These profiles are unlimited and free, with preset permissions that cannot be altered. As an example, let's consider the vendor profile, which grants vendors limited access to view and edit only the work orders assigned to them. Firstly, we'll create a profile, which essentially dictates the permissions assigned to a specific role. To illustrate this, we'll start by creating a technical type profile. As a master user, I have the authority to define the access levels for this technical profile within the organization. Each module is equipped with its own set of permissions tailored to distinct roles and responsibilities. For instance, let's say we want our technician to access the organization's module, but only to their designated organization. We'll delve deeper into the concept of organizations later in this video. Our objective is to enable the technician to view assets without the ability to delete or create them. Since their role doesn't require access to contracts, we won't grant permission for that module. The technician will be able to view scheduled activities, but they can only interact with work orders assigned to them. Since they aren't responsible for inventory management, their access will be limited to viewing it. Similarly, in the Requests module, they can view requests but won't have permissions for analysis, export, or user management, as these functionalities are typically reserved for higher-level roles like coordinators and managers. Once we've configured these permissions, we'll simply click on Save to apply the changes. In addition to the current profile, we'll create a coordinator profile. This role is crucial as coordinators are responsible for planning our activities. Therefore, in this case, we will grant access to all the modules, with the only restriction being that they can only view information related to their assigned organization. In our final example, we'll set up an inventory and purchasing manager profile. This role will have access restricted to the inventory and purchasing modules within their organization. After completing this setup, we'll click on Save, and you'll notice that we now have these 3 profiles created. These profiles will be assigned to different users based on their roles. Let's move on to creating users and linking them to the profiles we've set up. First, we'll create a user named Michael with the technician profile. It is crucial to copy and paste the password when creating a user, as this will be their initial login password. Users can change their password once they log into the platform. Once you've entered the details, click Save. Next, we'll create another user named Dana, assigning her the coordinator profile. Finally, we'll create another user named Lewis, assigning him the inventory and purchasing manager profile. These newly created users won't have the ability to modify their permissions. This capability is reserved for the master user or org admin, who is the first user on the platform. The org admin has the authority to edit user details like names and profiles, and they can also delete or deactivate users. When a user is deleted, their record is kept for historical reference, but they lose platform access. On the other hand, deactivating a user blocks their access indefinitely, but they can be reactivated whenever needed. Additionally, the org admin can designate another user as the org admin, useful for multiple individuals needing full access within the organization. Keep in mind, an org admin can only be removed if they choose to leave the organization themselves. Let's delve back to set up organizations. Organizations act as distinct business units tailored to fit various industry needs. Whether a company operates from a single site or opts for centralized information, our platform offers flexibility. Organizations can remain singular or be divided into multiple units to suit specific operational requirements. To demonstrate, let's create a couple of organizations as examples. This can be easily achieved by selecting the Create button and assigning a name to each organization. For instance, let's consider a hotel in Cancun that we want to segment. Here, we can add users pertinent to each segment, ensuring access aligns with their roles through our permissions setup. In this scenario, Michael, Dana, and Louis serve as representatives of the staff within the Cancun hotel organization. Once saved, our primary organization is established. Subsequently, we can add more organizations, such as a hotel in Los Cabos, one in Phuket, and another in the Maldives. This demonstrates the platform's capability to effectively compartmentalize information. The next step is to assign the users working at each organization. In your particular industry, there might be a need to categorize your organizations into North Plant, South Plant, or East Plant. If you're working with only one organization, the preset organization in the general settings will automatically become the default hub for managing all your information. This organizational structure is crucial. It ensures that every piece of data inputted into the system is associated with a specific organization. This not only provides a structured approach, but also offers a comprehensive global data view for the org admin. Moreover, users can access and view only the information relevant to their organization, enhancing efficiency and data security within the platform. Now that our organizations are set up, let's move on to adding our assets. The first step is to configure the fields we want to include for our assets. To do this, we'll revisit the Settings section. Click on your avatar, then select Settings and navigate to the Assets section. Here we have the option to add custom or additional fields to tailor the asset information to our needs. While the platform comes with default fields like name, description, category, and equipment type, we can customize it further. For instance, we might want to include a model field where users can input specific details. These fields can be text-based, numeric, or present as drop-down options. For example, the model field is a text-based input where users can enter relevant information. After setting up the fields, click Save and consider adding a few more fields as needed. We'll also add a brand field, also in text format, and include the location of our assets. Remember, the platform allows up to 20 custom fields. If you make a mistake or no longer need a field, you can easily edit or deactivate it to remove it from view. When it comes to deleting a field, you'll have the option to either move it to inactive status or delete it permanently. Moving a field to inactive preserves the stored information, accessible whenever needed. However, opting for permanent deletion removes all data captured in that field permanently. Understanding this difference is crucial when managing your asset information effectively. We have already configured the necessary fields to begin building our asset tree. Now, within the Assets module, we find 3 different views: one that displays all assets, whether they are equipment or facilities, another that shows only equipment, and a third one dedicated exclusively to facilities. To illustrate this process, we will take the implementation of a hotel in Cancun as an example. However, these same actions are applicable to various industries, such as production plants or environments where maintenance is carried out. We will start creating our assets directly by clicking on the Create button. A form with the necessary information to capture will be displayed. First, we must select our organization since, as we saw previously, all assets will be linked to it. Next, we'll select an asset type. To begin constructing the asset tree, we'll first create the facilities type. You can also add custom fields for facilities as you did before for equipments, by going to General Settings Assets section and selecting the custom fields for facilities. Once this information is saved, we can expand by adding more facilities like a pool area, restaurant, or laundry room. Returning to the Assets module and checking the All Assets view, we find them registered, including in the Facilities section view. Notably, the Equipment section remains empty as these assets are categorized under Facilities. To streamline the creation of our tree, we can select the facility to which we want to add child equipment or child facilities and click on Create Asset. As we can see, the location or the parent equipment or parent facility with which it is related is automatically assigned. Within this tree, we can detail even more the sections of the hotel. For example, we will add a lobby that is also of the facility type, a first floor also of the facility type, and a second floor also of the facility type. Once saved, these elements are reflected in the tree structure, making it easier to visualize and manage assets. If we want to continue under this logic, we can again select a facility, click on Create Asset, and now add a couple of rooms to the first floor. We will add room 101, 102, and 103. In case the location needs to be modified, it can also be done directly by clicking on Select. This tab will also show me all the locations I have previously registered in a tree structure, and I can change it simply by selecting the new location. As an example, we will select the second floor and add rooms 201, 202, and 203. We return to our view of all assets, and we can see how our tree looks. We see that we have a hotel with different floors and different rooms on each floor. Now let's register an equipment asset following the same process. We select the location and proceed to create the asset. In this instance, we'll be creating an elevator. We'll assign a code. Note that we can also add a user, which is beneficial if a specific provider handles maintenance tasks for this elevator. Furthermore, we'll ensure to fill in all the custom fields we've previously added, including model and brand. Notably, we'll leave the location field empty as we're manually generating it. With a click on Save, our first manual entry is complete. Additionally, the platform supports importing assets massively. In addition to manually creating our assets, I will also be able to create them automatically. This will be done through an import process. To initiate this import, we have to select our actions in the top right corner and choose Import. To import our assets in bulk, we will need a CSV file. For example, here I have a file that I previously generated to capture this information. Within this file, I have the fields I need. As you can see in the system, I have the code, the equipment name, and the additional fields we just created like model and brand. I'm including the organization it belongs, as well as its location. Additionally, I specify the category. This CSV file needs to include columns with the information we require in our system. It's important to note that these fields are completely customizable using the 20 available custom fields in the Asset Settings section. Now, let's proceed to import multiple assets in bulk. To do this, we need to map the columns in my Excel with the columns in the platform. For example, here I can see that in my Excel file, I have the code value that corresponds to the code column. I have the equipment name that corresponds to the asset name in our platform, and similarly for the model and brand sections, which were the additional custom fields we previously create. In our platform, the hotel is actually the organization name, along with the location and category, as these are the fields I had registered in the system. Here, once we click Next, we've established this mapping. As you can see, the asset name and organization were mandatory. Now we click Finish. Once we complete this step, the system confirms that they were imported successfully, and we can return to the Assets section. Here, we can see that all these assets have been added to our asset list. Furthermore, since they are equipment type assets, I can view them under the Equipment section and see everything that has been generated. They are also directly linked to the organization name. It's crucial that the organization name in our file matches the organizations we've previously created. Also, it's important to note that if the organization doesn't exist, the platform will automatically create one with the name in this column and group the assets under this organization. In this section, I'll guide you through using our tables and the functionalities our platform offers. Let's begin with exploring the search feature within the table. The search function operates on any column. For instance, if I need to find an asset code, I can easily do so. Similarly, I can search by the asset's name or any related term, and the table will display the corresponding results automatically. This simplifies locating our assets significantly. Apart from search, our tables offer other features. We have filters that can be applied in this section, where I can choose the columns to display. For example, if I wish to view all assets in Cancun, I can apply a filter. Additionally, I can create complex filters with multiple criteria, such as searching for specific values or locations. These advanced filters help us find relevant information or filter specific groups of assets. Each column in our tables has a drop-down menu. This menu enables us to sort and group data. For example, to group assets by organization, I simply select that option, and the table organizes assets according to their organizations. We can perform these actions based on categories, purposes, or any available field in our platform. We can also ungroup to remove column grouping and pin a column to remain visible while navigating horizontally through information. Besides these functions, we can configure our tables. We can set a specific order and show or hide certain columns based on our preferences. This configuration is saved so that each user sees the selected columns upon entry. Furthermore, we can export table information, a feature within the permissions we grant to users. To export specific data, we select the desired lines or items, use multiple selection with Shift, and export data as CSV or Excel files. These are the capabilities our tables offer and are available in other modules of the platform. After registering assets, we need to take actions to organize our tree further. Strategically, we've included a column called Location. Activating this column shows it's specifically configured for locations. This location column streamlines tree structuring. For example, in the equipment section, I can search for everything related to the restaurant location. As you can see, only that information is displayed here. We'll use this opportunity to explore bulk actions on the platform. In all modules, you'll find the option to select one or more items and an Actions button. From this button, you can perform various bulk actions like updating information, consulting QR codes, and more. One action we've already seen is importing. Now, let's change the location of these equipment items in bulk. I select the option to update the location, choose Restaurant, and save. Now all these assets are located in the restaurant. This process greatly simplifies moving equipment between different locations. We'll repeat this for the laundry area and the pool area, thus creating our locations tree. We can also add geographical locations in bulk. I select the assets, choose the option to update the geographical location, select the desired location, and save. Now all these assets have a geographical location that can be checked anytime, especially useful for maintenance. Even after creating assets, you may decide to add an additional field at any time. To do this, go to the Settings section, then to the Assets section to add a custom field. Let's imagine the importance of having a priority field in the platform. I want it as an option list field with high, medium, and low options. Once saved, we can start using this field to capture information. Since it's a new field, existing information doesn't include this priority. To assign a value to our assets in bulk, select the assets, assign them a high priority, and save. This is done through the Actions section and the Bulk Update option. It's crucial to select the correct asset type for this update, otherwise, the modification won't occur. In this case, I want to change the priority of selected assets to high. Upon saving, we'll see the priority of these assets updated correctly. These bulk update functions make changes efficiently, helping us use the platform effectively. Within the bulk actions functions, we have the option of notifications. Let's illustrate this with an elevator. The platform already sends email notifications to internal users automatically. However, to enhance communication between departments, we have a notifications section to add external recipients. Let's imagine wanting the hotel manager to receive automatic emails when a work order related to this elevator is opened or closed. We can configure these notifications for informative and useful communication. In case of changes, such as email address changes or personnel changes, we can update these notifications, add new ones, or replace existing ones as needed. The Add option adds a new notification, while the Replace option replaces previous notifications with new ones. This efficiently manages email communications related to our assets. Here we can also assign users to equipment, ensuring each user sees only assigned equipment. This is useful for technicians and other profiles, like suppliers with restricted access to specific equipment. To do this, select the assets, go to the Actions section, and assign the corresponding users. Upon saving, the user assignment is updated. This function is helpful when certain equipment must be managed by specific user groups or when controlling asset visibility in the platform. Lastly, let's delve into how QR codes function. These codes generate unique identifiers for assets. You can scan them using your phone's camera to instantly report a maintenance request and automatically link it to the scanned asset. The same QR code serves to identify the asset and provide general information. To access this information, simply scan the QR code using the MPindustries mobile app. Generating these codes is easy. Simply select the option to print QR codes, and the platform generates them automatically. Our tables allow agile navigation of information. By selecting an asset, users can access all relevant information associated with it. Additionally, we have a history section showing all actions taken with assets, from creation to edits and changes in location or organization. This information is recorded and can be consulted in detail. We can also edit assets individually, not just in bulk, adjusting specific fields as needed. So far, we've set up our general settings, roles, and users. We've created organizations, units, departments, or plants. We've added our assets by including custom fields in the settings section. We've created our hierarchy by assigning locations to these assets. And we've demonstrated the functions of our tables. To move on, we'll add our inventory products so we can use them in subsequent activities. We'll go to Settings again and choose the Inventory section. In the Inventory section, you'll see it's divided into two parts. The first part is warehouses within my organization, and the second part is custom fields. Let's edit this information and add a couple of warehouses. For example, I can have information about my Cancun warehouse and specify which organization it belongs to. This is a relationship so that only those with access to the Cancun organization also have access to the Cancun warehouse. Let's save this and add another warehouse, like the Los Cabos warehouse. We can also have a general warehouse accessible to all organizations. Once we generate these warehouses, we can save them to add different products to them. We'll also have a section for custom fields. These custom fields will allow me, just like with assets, to add fields that I need to capture for the products, such as origin, classifications, supplier, and other fields that are important for your inventory products section. After configuration, we can proceed to the inventory module. Here, just like in other parts of the platform, we can manually upload our products by choosing the Add Product option and entering the required details. For example, let's add multigrade oil. We'll add the barcode or a numeric ID that starts from 1 and increases automatically. We'll specify the initial stock or quantity of our product and the initial cost. Let's say the initial cost is 10 USD per liter. We'll add it to the Cancun warehouse. We can also add images. Let's add the image of our oil. For units, we'll specify it as a liter. You'll notice that unit, product code, and warehouse fields are required to add a product. I can also add a location such as Aisle 1, Shelf 2. This is a consumable category, allowing you to classify your products. I need at least 10 liters and a maximum of 100. We also have an external ID section for integrations with other platforms. Once I add this information, we'll click Save, and you'll see the Cancun warehouse listed. Expanding this, I can see the product. Just as I mentioned, throughout the platform, I can select it to see detailed information. For instance, I can view the image and further details about this product, like where it's been used, which assets have used it, or the movements associated with the product. This can be done by simply selecting it. Additionally, the system automatically generates a barcode that can be printed, facilitating seamless scanning and movement within the platform. This is how we manually add products, but we can also import them in bulk. I'll share the file we'll be using for import. As you can see, we use columns like barcode, product name, stock unit, costs, inventory, category, and location from our platform's fields. To import, we go back to the platform and use the Import option under Actions. When importing products, we first need to specify which warehouse they belong to. We select our file which contains the warehouse products. We'll map the columns, such as product name, initial stock unit, unit cost, inventory, minimum and maximum values, categories, and location within the warehouse. After mapping, we finalize the import. It will show if the products were imported successfully or if there were any errors, like duplicate IDs, which need to be avoided. You can now view these products in your warehouse, each with its respective stock and captured details. Uploading warehouse information is straightforward, allowing us to utilize filters, export inventory data, and finalize our product database setup. Finally, to wrap up the topic of creating databases, let's see how to add our suppliers and warranties. The suppliers module allows us to specify if we have maintenance providers. When we talk about maintenance providers, we mean external parties or third parties who will be performing activities for us. This could be due to a warranty from a purchase, a maintenance contract for their services, or because they are the original product vendor. Let's walk through the process step by step. In the suppliers module, we have the option to add new suppliers. Here, we fill in essential details like the supplier's name, contact person's information, phone number, email address, and tax ID if needed. After entering this information, we simply click Save to store it, and we can then view all our suppliers in one place. Adding suppliers to the platform is simple and straightforward. These suppliers serve not only as a reference but also as the basis for creating contracts. Contracts can vary significantly. They might involve warranties, leased equipment with maintenance included, or an annual maintenance agreement with the supplier. Let's delve deeper into this section by creating a contract. We'll begin by identifying the organization and choosing our supplier. For instance, Elevup LLC provides our annual elevator maintenance services at the hotel. We'll assign a unique contract number for internal tracking, set start and end dates e.g. from February 1st to February 1st of the following year, and define the contract's cost. Additionally, we'll specify the type of maintenance included, whether it's preventive, corrective, or both. For instance, this contract specifically covers preventive maintenance and encompasses all associated expenses or solely covers labor costs. After completing these steps, we can include the assets covered by the contract. For example, we'll choose the elevator and save to include it in the contract. Clicking on it will take us to the contract details, where we can review general information, supplier details, covered assets, and the history of work orders associated with this contract. We can also attach files related to this contract. It's worth noting that our platform is fully integrated. If you want to check organization information, just select it to see the details instantly. Similarly, you can view asset details or return to the contract overview with ease. Our goal is to make the platform user-friendly and intuitive.